So let's go over what's here at least. So this is the new patch. So overview for this patch, some of the major areas of interest are visible supply lines and attack origins in the Galactic War, stratagem, weapon plan, and enemy balancing updates, various crash fixes, stability improvements, and other updates. I mean, Adam literally crashed last night, like 2 games. Invite-only lobby creation. The rightmost option in the lobby settings currently only localized in English. Additional language is coming in the next patch. Okay. Balancing. Goal with stratagem balance changes this patch. With these balance changes, we wanted to buff up some of the weaker stratagems to make them more viable and add more possibilities for variety in the loadouts. We also changed a few to make them more consistent, but the goal was to keep a similar or higher power level. So that's right there. That's great news. Dude, there was just like a massive fly in here for no reason. I'm gonna lose my shit. We are looking into the stratagems more to see if there are any other stratagems that might need buffs or changes to make them more viable. We also wanted to be better at explaining what our goals are with the changes. Please see the linked blog post for more information. So, the Rocket Sentry, which has been kind of a shittier stratagem, honestly. They decrease the spread to where the rockets aren't gonna fucking, miss. Prioritize larger targets. Okay, I guess. Increase target distance from 75 to 100 meters, that's good. Decrease rocket salvo 2 to 1 to get better ammo economy. Okay, that's okay. Increased explosion radius from 1 meter to 4 meters. Okay. Decreased explosion armor penetration. Explosion can no longer damage heavy armored enemies. Projectile still has enough AP to damage heavily armored targets. What? I don't, okay. Increased projectile damage from 200 to 100. Oh, okay, so the explosion can no longer damage heavy armored, but the projectile can still damage. Okay. The machine gun sentry reduced the cooldown from 180 to 120 seconds. That means you're calling this in a lot faster, which I think is a great... Dude, what the fuck, man? I'm trying to fucking stream here, you piece of shit. Holy fuck. So they reduced the cooldown of the machine gun sentry from 180 to 120 seconds. That's good. Let's see. They increased all of the durability of all of them from 0 to 80%. That's good news. The HMG emplacement, they increased rotation speed by 100%. Anti-personnel minefield increased explosion damage from 250 to 350. Increased explosion damage on the incendiary mines from 150 to 210. Increased rate of... Orbital Gatling. Increased rate of fire by 25%. Increased rounds per salvo from 30 to 60. Increased armor penetration. Can damage heavy armored enemies. That's awesome. Decreased cooldown from 80 to 70. Holy fuck, dude. Like, I already use this all the time. The orbital precision. Decreased cooldown from 100 to 90 seconds. That's amazing. Decreased spawn / call-in time from 4 seconds to 2 seconds. This is gonna kind of, eliminate the new need for a railgun. The railgun strike. Orbital airburst. Decrease cooldown from 120 to 100 seconds. Okay. The rocket pods. While these changes may look like a straight up nerf, that is not the intention. Please see blog post for more information. Improved targeting. Increased projectile armor penetration now does 100% damage to heavily armored enemies instead of 50%. Okay. Decreased projectile damage 600 to 250 to compensate for the improved targeting and the extra damage from the increased armor penetration. Okay, I kind of understand that. Get out of here, you fuck. This is my fucking cat was playing with this fly. Decreased explosion armor penetration. Explosion can no longer damage heavily armored targets, but the projectile can. Okay. Strafing run. Increased uses from 3 to 4. Increased armor penetration can now damage heavily armored enemies. I don't think I've used the Eagle strafing run the entire time, if I'm 100% honest with you. GL-21 grenade launcher. Increased explosion damage. Explosion damage by from 350 to 400. So I think that's just a typo. Heavy machine gun. Increased projectile damage from 100 to 150. Increased projectile damage against durable body parts from 23 to 33%. Decreased rate of fire 450, 750, 900. Now it's 450, 600, 750. That's okay. Decreased reload time from 7 to 5 seconds. That was needed. 100% that was needed. And then increase the stagger strength. Decreased reload time from 4 to 3.5 seconds on the MG43. And then increase max amount of magazines from 3 to 4. So now the regular machine gun is going to be a lot more viable. Not that it wasn't before. So for the machine gun sentry, the Gatling sentry, and the Exo 45 Patriot suit, exosuit Gatling, increased projectile damage from 80 to 90. Increased projectile damage against durable body parts from 7.5 to 25%. Oh my god. So this is going to be able to take off like the arms of some of the Devastators, or maybe the rocket pod off a Devastator pretty quickly. The Liberator, the Stalwart, and the AR-23 Guard Dog increased projectile damage against durable body parts from 10 to 23%. So same thing. The Concussive, increased projectile damage against durable body parts from 23 to 35%. That I don't think is a good enough buff. Increased magazine capacity from 25 to 30 on the Adjudicator. Increased projectile damage against durable body parts from 10 to 20%. That's a nice change. Oh my god, the AR-61 Tenderizer. Increased projectile damage from 60 to 95. Increased projectile damage against durable body parts from 10 to 17%. That's okay. Decreased ammo capacity from 35 to 30%. That's okay. Decreased number of magazines from 10 to 8. That's also fine. Increased stagger strength. Dude, this thing just got fucking amazing. And I already liked it. Oh my god. Purifier. Increased projectile armor penetration to be the same as explosion. Decreased explosion damage fall off. That's it? Oh, no way. Yes! CB9 explosive crossbow. Increased explosion armor penetration to be the same as the projectile. Increased demolition strength. Can destroy bug holes and bot fabricator buildings. Added medium penetration. I am so goddamn happy, dude. I already love the crossbow. This is what it needed. Okay, the Eruptor. Increase total damage from 420 to 570 damage per shot. Okay. The R36 or R63 Diligence. Increase projectile damage against durable body parts from 10 to 25%. Some enemies have durable body parts that receive only a portion of base damage from projectiles. Okay. Other. Updated recoil stance modifiers. We made changes to the recoil stance modifiers to make them more consistent and also reward being prone more. Almost all of them will improve recoil, and only a 2 have been made worse, and only by 10%. What? Gameplay. Removed operation modifier AA defenses, reducing the stratagem slots by 1. We want to look over this operation modifiers in the future. Right now, there are too few of them, which become repetitive, and the ones we have do not create variety or promote different playstyles. For now, we remove this one because it only encourages the players to bring the best stratagem and does not promote variety. That's kind of what Adam and I said literally last night when we kept running into it. What's going on, Jasmine? Disabled the retrieve essential personnel defend mission or event mission for the time being. This is to give the mission the proper attention and care it deserves, and it is now deemed not fun enough or performing as we want it to. That's awesome. Super samples now spawn on difficulty 6. The reason for this change is that we feel that their existence only on difficulty 7+ forced some players to play the game on a harder difficulty than they wanted to comfortably play on. We do, however, still want a gating of them, but a less punishing one. That's fair. The Sief artillery stratagem is no longer blocked by stratagem jammers or ion storms and is available after the mission timer ends and the destroyer leaves close orbit. I have been asking about this literally since the first time we got one of these. Oh, it's going okay. Is why do we lose this when the destroyer leaves orbit? I understand that orbiting or that it links to the ship. I understand that to let us know that we have it. I don't understand why we lose it though when we're still on the fucking ground with it. Enemies in melee range of the gates in evacuate high value assets mission will now attack it more consistently. Okay, that's fair. Added the ability to chat from in-game menus and mission loading screen. Updated some first-person crosshairs to improve readability. Okay. Invite only lobbies. New armor passive. Peak physique. 50% melee damage plus 30% weapon ergonomics. Plants and hazards. The spike plant that appears on certain planets has been reworked. No longer causes bleed or stamina drain if hit by the plant explosion or spikes. Now pops 3 times, sending spikes everywhere, dealing increased damage. Okay, that's fair. Fire tornadoes have had their behavior change. They should no longer feel like they actively respond to player movement and should move more randomly. While a fire tornado storm takes place, enemy vision is reduced. Player vision is unaffected. That's nice. Fire tornadoes being more random should result in more variance in situations players find themselves in. Tornadoes are significantly less likely to pile up and overlap on extraction points or objectives, and will generally be a bit easier to deal with. That's like the main thing that I think everyone's been asking for is like, how come every time one of these things spawns, it's on my objective? That's so fucking irritating. Okay. Alright, cool. We're good. This fly needs to fuck off, though. Let's see. Tremors. Tremors have had their spawning tweaked to be slightly more random. Tremors had their epicenter size and effect range increased. These changes should result in more situations where enemies away from the player get stunned, as well as reducing how consistently the player has a tremor occur next to them. Add additional VFX for ion storms. Ion storms are still annoying. Visibility. A lot of planets have had fog amounts tweaked to be less harsh and dense to provide less fatigue from constantly fighting on planets with bad visibility. We still intend there to be foggy planets with worse visibility, which is totally fine. But the balance was a bit off. Dude, I felt like I couldn't see shit on these planets. Errata Prime, Short Bay, Hellmire, similar. Highlands, Valeria 5, Madar Bay, Oshanu. Artificial light sources have had their intensity rebalanced and reduced across the board to fix situations of lights completely blinding a player. Good. Dude, the amount of times that I've looked at a street light and been like, I cannot fucking see over there, dude. We had a situation literally last night where a fucking heavy devastator just appeared because we couldn't see him past the light. The unexploded malfunctioning hell bombs that can sometimes be found on planets now explode immediately if hit with stronger explosions or heavy weapons. They still have the same delay if hit by small arms fire or weaker attacks. Okay. Vegetation that's large enough to slow players now has an extra function. When inside the vegetation, Helldivers will be harder to detect, reducing their detection range by enemies. This effect stacks with other detection-reducing effects such as nighttime, being crouched or prone, or things such as the scout armor passive. That's amazing. Acid effect. The acid effect applied by hunters, bug mines, etc. now allows you to sprint while under the effect and slows you by 30% instead of 50%. Duration has been increased from 3 to 4 seconds, so that's fine. These changes are intended to make it less punishing for players to be slowed while fighting the Terminids. This allows us to use it in more places without making the experience very punishing. For example, the Bile Spewers. Okay. Armor and enemy balance. We've toned down the amount of heavily armored enemies like Bile Titans Chargers on higher difficulties and instead spawn more hordes of smaller enemies. That's exactly what you should do. The difference should be quite noticeable, and the amount should be at least 30% less than before during bug breaches. We have also toned down slightly how many Hulks that spawn for automatons. Our intent is to ease up the demand for anti-tank weapons, and by having more of the other enemies, give a better incentive for the group to bring stratagems and weapons that take care of hordes. Awesome. Patrols. Patrols are now back to how it worked before patch 01.000.300 with some slight tweaks so that the levels are less empty if you are far away from important locations with enemy presence. Stunning. Medium and large size enemies now don't get stunned as easily. This will not affect the stratagems that stun and will mostly just affect how easily the pummeler can stun larger enemies. Oh, fuck off. Everybody loved the pummeler. Excuse me. Terminids. Bile Spewer, Nursing Spewers. Spewers will now get slowed if they lose their legs. Spear Puke now applies the acid effect. Spear Puke can only damage Helldivers up to 4 times per second, and the Helldiver cannot take damage multiple times from the same projectile. This should reduce instances where you're killed, or you're instantly killed by it. It was like the top of the wave would hit you, and by the time the middle of the wave hit you, you were dead. And their puke also has a bigger spread. So now instead of like just a straight line, it's going to be like, you know, yeah, I like that. The Charger Behemoth. What the fuck is that? The Charger Behemoth is now joining the battle on higher difficulties. It can now also take more damage than before This enables us to spawn fewer chargers, but still retain the difficulty. Okay. Chargers will now only show bleed out effects from the body if a bleed out state has started. It can still show bleed out effects from the mouth without having started the bleed out state. The Hulk's flamethrower now does less damage and cannot damage Helldivers more than 4 times per second. In addition, the Helldiver cannot be damaged multiple times by the same flame projectile. This should reduce instances where you are instantly killed by it. Thank you. The tank armor value on the front has been lowered to the same as the non-vent sections on the rear of the tank. The intent was initially that it was supposed to be more armored in the front, which, yeah, but the visual language did not show that, okay? Vents on the back of tank turrets still has the same armor value as before, but will check for explosion directions correctly now. Okay? The damage of exploding automaton jump packs has been decreased by 50%. It will still set you on fire, though. God damn it. Okay. Fixes. The FAF-14 spear targeting has been reworked and should now function much better. However, it has lost the ability to target automaton spawners. This is not intended and will be fixed in the future. Okay. So now I can't use it to blow up the automaton factories. What the fuck, dude? Intensity and intense heat and extreme cold environment modifiers now affect the quasar cannon's reload speed and will show correctly in the HUD. Reload speed on cold planets, negative 2.5 seconds. On hot planets, 2.5 seconds. Fuck. The radar pulse that detects enemies on the minimap is now visible. Most of automaton's weapons have now gotten tighter limits to how much the projectile they can shoot deviate from the muzzles from its weapon's muzzle angle. That means in situations where Devastator shoots sideways and similar should be fixed. Okay. The weapons of the exosuit are now allowed small adjustments in the angle they fire the projectiles versus their muzzle angle. This should make the weapons more accurate. Ballistic shields now collide with grenades. Cool. The unblock button should no longer disappear from the social menu. Block players can no longer join the blockers lobby through recent players. Fixed a bug where enemies killed, missions played, and missions complete stats are not properly displayed. Fixed issue where the player can throw an unlimited amount of grenades by pressing the quick grenade button right after closing the stratagem menu. Helldiver now also switches to last active weapon when out of grenades, fixing the issue where they would be holding a stratagem ball without the stratagem menu being open. Okay. Fixed ticks overlap. Burning effect applied to player. Combat walker dies is now a normal burn. You'll escape alive, but you will be on fire, so hit the ground. You can no longer take damage, preventing extraction new high-grade materials directly from Super Earth. On PC, you can now navigate to the Super Critics menu with WASD keys. That's nice. Sample count missions were incorrectly displayed. Levels no longer generate with blocked areas, preventing player progression. Ship bridge no longer shadow. Okay. Oh, yeah, fixed an issue where the Helldivers can be launched in the air if close to a Bile Titan or Factory Strider. The amount of times that has killed me is ridiculous. Not working for peers. Recent players list now include. Okay. Okay, the adjudicator still has the incorrect. Okay. Yeah. Arc weapons sometimes behave inconsistently and sometimes misfire. The amount of times that I just shoot the ground. Okay, so okay. John Pilstead, Johan Pilstead, now Chief Creative Officer at Arrowhead. First, I want to thank you, the community, for clearly voicing your opinions and concerns. That's awesome. These balance changes we want to. Okay. Okay, so we're just going over the same stuff again. I mean, yeah, I would just use this. Yeah, I'm very excited about that. I'm very excited about the crossbow change. Okay. I'm very excited about the crossbow change. That is for sure. Yeah. Oh yeah. Dude, this crossbow is gonna be fucking bananas. Alright. 95 damage, dude. That's insane. And I'm okay with 30 rounds, because that is 30 rounds. This now is 30 rounds. Okay. Says it is 36 recoil. Okay, I don't think they made any changes. I know they reduced the stun rate on that. Medium armor penetrating. I'm very excited about that. Okay. I mean, not really much else changed for weapons, if I'm completely honest with you. Like, they did some basic stuff, like, you know, stuff that is a good idea, stuff that need to be changed.